So I know you said that you felt alone. At that time, I'm wondering if you had any type of refuge or where did you turn? Where was your resource of support at the time that you can identify now looking back at it?
I'll be honest, and this is going to sound really cliche to a lot of people watching this. My Savior, Jesus Christ. I didn't have anyone. My dad was amazing. He's an amazing man, but all of his energy went into caring for my mother.
Yeah.
Um, he started drinking again with my mom being sick. Like he had his own battles, lost faith in God with everything she went through. So I really kind of, when I say I was on my own, like I am a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And my family started going to church after my mom had been diagnosed again. Like we started going to church again after my mom had been diagnosed a couple of years afterward and right before it started getting really hard. So I will say my faith in Jesus Christ, like I knew that my family would be together forever. I knew that life is beyond this moment. And I have a really strong testimony of that. With that in particular, the Young Women's Program, I know a lot of the youth have said that they leave the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in their youth. I am one of those anomalies. I could go to church on Wednesday evening and just put a pause on everything that was going on.
Yeah.
And all the struggles I had. And I could go to theater. Theater would probably be the other one. Like as I'm thinking about it, theater was another one. I was in every play. I did speech competitions. So anything where I was performing, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
I felt like I was performing. I also, like now you start thinking about it, it's like all these things come to mind. I've always been a writer. I've loved to write, and I have all my poetry that I wrote through all of this. So I wrote a ton of poetry. Never published it, and I wasn't born in the social media era where I just post everything all day long. But I have all my poetry through that period, and it's really important to me. I don't go back and look at it a ton, but I just remember when I wrote it, it was a way to get what was in me out. When I performed, it was a way to get the feelings in me out. When I would go to church, when I would study my scriptures, it was a way to let positivity in. So I was able to kind of take out the negative and put in the positive.
That's awesome.
That balance was huge to me. It got me through high school. And then in college, my mom was still sick for my first 3 years of college, but that's when I discovered running and that physical, I love the endorphins of running, but that helped me even more because theater started to become less. Mm-hmm. And then I replaced it with running. Yeah. And so those are the things that I would say really kind of kept me moving forward. I'm also a pretty outspoken person. No. People wouldn't say I'm shy, introverted, I'm loud, I talk a lot. When I have issues though, I wouldn't bury them inside. I would try to talk to someone. And now, like if I'm having issues, I will go seek help. What was hard about that moment with my mom and when she tried to commit suicide and that experience in high school was that in that moment, I felt very alone. I just started coming back to activity in the church. My mom had been sick for years. My brother had just moved away. So look at all this transition that was happening. I think it's really important to be aware of those transition moments in your life and find out how you can let the negative, like outlets that you can get things out of you, and then things that are positive and keep those coming in to your mind and into your heart, because that's going to help you stay balanced on those rocky roads that you're crossing.
Oh yeah, balance is
because we all got those rocky roads, right?
Yes, we do, and it's a great ice cream too. It is. Reflecting on those times with your mother and some of the struggles that she had mentally and her suicide attempt, what have you drawn from those experiences as a parent now And how has it assisted you in your role as a mother?
That's a great question. That's one you should have given me beforehand, so I could have prepared for that a little bit more. Okay. I don't ignore little things. So people call it mother's intuition. Sometimes you can just tell that something's off with your kids, but there's just things that I don't ignore. One of my children has anxiety, pretty severe.
Okay.
He's on medication for it, but we've taken him to a child psychologist because we've got to have tools to work through the thought process that goes on in their minds. People could say, "Oh, no big deal, they'll grow out of it," or the behavior could be reinforced, and then it's a lot harder to change that mindset later on in life. One of my favorite expressions. So in Utah County, the Alpine School District had a child psychologist come and talk. And I can't remember. I'll get it for you for Instagram, but it's like Utah County Kids Something Association.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And they talked about resilience with kids, and he talked about, instead of trying to fix kids' problems, ask them when they say something or share something, tell me more about that.
Okay.
Describe to me what that feels like. So I'm not going to assume I know. I'm not going to try and fix. I just want to understand, and I need more information. And I have one kid that'll kind of shut down a little bit more, but as I ask those questions, and he might need more space.
Yeah.
But then he'll eventually come out. But when I ask those, and not just open-ended, it's specific, tell me more. I want to know. Describe to me what that looks like. It forces them to have to vocalize what they're going through, which is really hard. So that is something I love that I have learned through it. Is I remember so many doctors with my mom, they'd ask her to describe things, or just so many different things you'd go through, and so this is kind of how it affects my parenting, but I do want to share this. It just came to me and I feel really inspired. My mom wrote a letter, and I found it on our computer after she passed away.
Oh, wow.
Where it was like a year before she died. And she had said, "I'm so sick and I'm such a nuisance." She was asking my dad to divorce her and leave her.
Really?
She said, "I'm worried about Gabe because my brother had all these addictions." And then she said, "I'm not worried about Jenny. She'll be fine. She's kind of beyond, like she's always on her own, but she doesn't really," how did she phrase it? Like, kind of how I felt it was, she's not really here. And I just, like, my heart hurt.
Yeah.
That she didn't feel like I was there. That I was consumed with my own kind of thing, right? And so it was just like, and I don't feel guilt. Like, I didn't feel guilt like, oh, I shoulda, coulda, I didn't feel that. But it was, I don't want my children or my family to feel like I'm not there. So I think that's the big takeaway for me as a mother, and how I want to do things different. And my mother was really good about talking about stuff and being open. And I was raised in a very good environment for that. So grateful, even with all the crud I went through as a kid, which was pretty intense and painful. My brother and I survived a lot, but what I do love is we are very open about things. And so I try to be open with my kids, but being mindful and present, and just, tell me more about that.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And
always,
I know that last part was a bit deep for you, but I really do appreciate it, because it's important to be present, and it's difficult at any stage. And oftentimes, even as parents or adults, siblings,
you want to go get away.
Yeah.
You want to escape. You're just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with having that moment, right?
No,
As a mom, there's nothing wrong with closing the door and going to the bathroom in privacy. There's nothing wrong with that.
Which never happens.
I don't get it, but there's nothing wrong with that too. or going and doing any of these things. There was nothing wrong with me going off to college, with me doing theater, with me. To me, it was an escape, right? There wasn't so much wrong with that, but it was that we need to be mindful and present, and we need to show up in our own life, and we need to show up in the lives of those, especially family.
Yes.
Especially family. There's a reason they're our family.
Even though sometimes.
Yeah. So sometimes. That and how you show up is not always going to be the same, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's definitely been a big lesson for me.
Thank you so much. I've learned so much in this interview, and it's been a blessing. I've gotten to know you even deeper. We call each other a chimp and ape, and
sometimes
we're just a whole other primate right now.
Like somebody's gonna like trash me on social media when I refer to you as ape.
I know.
And I'm like, I'm just waiting for that comment, and I'm like, you have no idea the context here.
And it's because of our hands. In our mission, we realized that I have a big hand compared to her little hand, and she was just like, "Geez, you got big mitts," and I was like, "Well, you got little ones," and
so that's how ape and chimp came to be.
Yeah, so I'm ape. This is chimp. But thank you so much for sharing. It's been a great insight on just moving forward for myself. And that last piece where you're sharing it, it's important to go get help when we identify things, but also to adjusting to what's given to us. Because a lot of times they'll go get it because their family wants them to go get help. But if they're not going to use it, it doesn't work, and for you guys to take the time and get counseling with your son and to get the tools that you need, I commend you. That's hard to do when you're just like, you don't know what I'm going through, but they do because they've gotten the education, they have the research, and they know what works, and they're wanting to help. And so I appreciate that piece. And I'm just so grateful for this interview and getting to know you more and more. It's, I often reflect on our mission days because we had some quirky moments.
That was a rough transfer. We were together for 6 weeks.
We were together for 6 weeks, and we were
Gladys night. It was so cool.
We were in a trio too. We were in the trio. So
Gladys night, firesides. Like people are like, "You're kidding me." I'm like,
yeah, and we was killing it with the tickets. We was killing it.
Like, what do we need to do to go? Okay, done.
Yeah, exactly. We'll go to every single one because
you need investigators there. Done. Got it.
But no, thank you so much, Jenny. It's been a privilege. I know it's hard to talk about these things, but we need to. And being willing to shed light on your own experience and sharing that will bless another. And I know oftentimes people are like, it's a cliche, but the Savior helps me. You know what? He helps everyone. And Robert's Place is faith-based. And our mission is to intervene, prevent, and to recover. Suicide is a huge undertaking for one individual, but if we're able to provide a source of support, we want to be there, and we lean heavily upon our Savior in being inspired. We're often encouraged to act upon our promptings. For other faiths, they may recognize it as inspiration or revelation that they're receiving from a higher being. People act on those promptings wherever you think it came from. It's important because it can help someone. And you're right to not shy away from that. Our testimonies and our faith in our Savior Jesus Christ can boost us to a different level of understanding and strength. So thank you for sharing your testimony and sharing your experience. And I love you. Welcome. You're amazing.
I love you.
You're such a fun person to be around.
And I'm so grateful you asked me, when you reached out, you said, "Hey, would you be willing to share this in a interview? Would you be willing to do this?" And of course, I'm like, absolutely, because mental health and suicide prevention and awareness, it just needs so much more advocacy out there. There's not enough.
Yeah.
And I've said this, although I believe that this last year with the pandemic, with everything that's gone on, there have been huge trials, huge blessings. I see the blessings there.
Oh, yeah.
The one thing I will say is the mental health pandemic that's coming is going to be tsunami level. And so that's where I just think if we can get these conversations started now, it won't be such a tidal wave feeling like just a tsunami breaking down on us, because it's a generation that's being impacted far greater than any other generation before. And so thank you for allowing me to come on here and blubber and share my experiences and my testimony. And I want anyone out there to know, if you need a friend, if you need someone to talk to, Robert's Place is a great resource. There's the American Suicide Prevention Society. There's psychologists and therapists, but also reach out to me.
Yeah.
I'm happy to just chat if you need someone to just help take your mind off of someone. I just want you to know that you're loved, and you are important, and I hope that this was helpful for you.
Thank you. And you're right. And she's always there. I'll hit her up randomly just to ask her a question, and she'll get back to me. And robertsplace.org has all the information for American suicide prevention. It's got phone numbers. Hit up the website. Continue to listen in on our Raw with Sess, because we're going to be going over sensitive topics of suicide and also mental health. And so I'm hoping that you'll pull anything from this, even if it's just, oh, someone knows what I'm going through. Because just that little aha moment and feeling that comfort for just a blip, it's important. And it's important to me. And so if you're walking away with this, that these two old ladies are blabbering, but they know what I'm going through, I'm glad. Because that's all that matters. Just one person getting something from this is important.
Nailed it.
So be sure to tune in with our next episode, Raw with Sess. Follow our, subscribe on our YouTube, and also follow our Instagram. We have a lot of great things. We have Motivational Monday. We got Raw with Sess on Tuesday. We have our Wellness with Simon on Wednesdays, Thankful Thursdays. And we're just going to keep moving just so that you guys know we're here to help you. So thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.